The champagne flute slipped from my hand, shattering across the marble floor of my son's entryway. But it wasn't the crash that stopped my heart. It was the words I'd just heard coming from the kitchen. Words my daughter-in-law, Vanessa, never meant for me to hear. "Michael, I'm serious. Your mother dresses like a homeless person. It's absolutely embarrassing at the club. Last Tuesday, she showed up in those awful cargo pants and that ratty cardigan. Do you know what Jennifer said to me? She asked if your family was having financial troubles." I stood frozen in the hallway, my worn canvas tote bag still hanging from my shoulder, the vegetables I'd brought from my garden suddenly feeling like dead weight in my hands. My name is Patricia, and I'm 72 years old. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments. I'd love to know who's listening to this story because what I'm about to share changed everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and the real meaning of respect. Let me take you back 6 months before that terrible moment in the hallway so you can understand exactly how I ended up standing there, listening to my own daughter-in-law tear me apart. I've lived in Connecticut all my life, raised my son Michael as a single mother after my husband David passed away, when Michael was only 8 years old. David had been an engineer, and he'd left us with a modest life insurance policy and a small investment account that I'd never touched. I worked as a librarian for 35 years, lived simply, saved carefully, and put every spare dollar into Michael's education. My son grew up to be everything I'd hoped for. Kind, intelligent, hardworking. He became a marketing executive, married Vanessa 5 years ago, and they settled into a beautiful colonial just 20 minutes from my little ranch house. I thought I'd done something right, watching him build this life. Vanessa came from money. Old Connecticut money, the kind that comes with expectations and country club memberships passed down through generations. She was beautiful in that polished way, always perfectly dressed, always perfectly coiffed, always perfectly concerned with what everyone else thought. From the start, I could tell she wasn't quite sure what to make of me. I dressed comfortably, practical. I shopped at discount stores and thrift shops, not because I had to, but because I saw no reason to waste money on expensive clothes when perfectly good ones could be found for a fraction of the price. My late husband had taught me the value of $1, and I'd never forgotten it. I drove a 12-year-old Honda, wore my grandmother's old watch, and carried the same canvas bag I'd bought at a library fundraiser 2 decades ago. What Vanessa didn't know, what nobody knew except my financial advisor and me, was that David's small investment account had grown substantially over 40 years of careful management and compound interest. Combined with my pension, my paid-off house, and decades of frugal living, I was sitting on just over $2 million. I'd never told Michael about the money. I wanted him to make his own way, to value hard work over inheritance, to build his life on his own merit. That decision was about to matter more than I ever imagined. Michael's voice responded from the kitchen, and my heart sank even further. Vanessa, come on. That's my mother you're talking about. She's always dressed that way. It's just who she is." "Who she is?" "Michael, we have a reputation to maintain at Riverside Country Club. Your colleagues are there. My book club meets there every week. When your mother shuffles in looking like she picked her outfit from a donation bin, it reflects on us, on our family." I should have announced myself. I should have walked away. Instead, I stood there, rooted to the spot, listening to my daughter-in-law dissect every aspect of my appearance. "And that hair," Vanessa continued. "When was the last time she went to an actual salon? It looks like she cuts it herself, with kitchen shears, in the dark." I touched my silver hair self-consciously. I did cut it myself, actually. I'd been doing it for years. It seemed silly to pay someone $80 for a simple trim. "The worst part is how she acts so proud of it all," Vanessa went on. "Like being cheap is some kind of virtue." "Oh, I got this skirt for $3 at the Goodwill," she mimicked in a cruel, high-pitched voice nothing like my own. "It's mortifying. Your mother might not care about appearances, but we do. Our children will go to the right schools, join the right clubs. We can't have her undermining everything we're building." "What do you want me to do?" Michael asked, and I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. "Tell her she can't come to the club anymore?" "Yes, actually, that would be a start." The silence that followed felt like it lasted an hour. Finally, Michael spoke. "I'll talk to her, gently. Maybe suggest she dress up a bit more when she visits us there." My son, whom I'd raised alone, worked double shifts to put through college, celebrated every achievement with, was going to ask me to change who I was because his wife was embarrassed by me. I backed away slowly, carefully, leaving the vegetables on the hall table and slipping out the front door before either of them knew I'd been there. I sat in my old Honda for 20 minutes, just breathing, trying to process what I'd heard. Here's what you need to understand. I wasn't upset about the comments on my appearance. I'd never cared much about fashion or status symbols. What shattered me was the realization that my son was willing to ask me to change, to suggest I wasn't good enough as I was, all to please a woman who valued country club gossip over family loyalty. But there was something else, something Vanessa didn't know. 3 years ago, when Michael and Vanessa had gotten married, they'd been drowning in wedding debt and student loans. Vanessa had desperately wanted to join Riverside Country Club. Her parents were members, her entire social circle revolved around it. But the initiation fee alone was $50,000, plus annual dues of $12,000. Michael had confided in me one evening, frustrated and stressed. They couldn't afford it, but Vanessa was relentless, convinced it was essential for their social standing and his career networking. That's when I made a decision that seemed generous at the time. Riverside Country Club had an anonymous donor program. Wealthy members could sponsor others for membership, covering their fees entirely, without the recipients ever knowing who their benefactor was. The club maintained strict confidentiality. It was considered gauche to reveal such arrangements. I contacted the membership director, Philip Hendricks, whom I'd known casually for years through various community events. I arranged to sponsor Michael and Vanessa's membership completely. $50,000 for initiation, $12,000 per year for dues. Plus, I'd established a fund to cover their minimum spending requirements at the club restaurant and events. Over 3 years, I'd quietly paid nearly $140,000 to give my son and his wife the lifestyle she wanted. I'd done it anonymously because I didn't want gratitude. I didn't want them to feel obligated to me or to change their behavior around me. I wanted Michael to enjoy the benefits without the burden of owing me anything. I thought I was giving them freedom. Instead, I'd given Vanessa the platform to judge me from. Driving home that evening, my hands shook on the steering wheel. I kept replaying her words. Dresses like a homeless person. Embarrassing. Undermining everything we're building. I'd spent $140,000 so she could attend book clubs and tennis matches at a place where she was ashamed to be seen with me. When I got home, I sat at my kitchen table, the same one where I'd helped Michael with his homework, where we'd shared thousands of meals together, where I'd taught him about kindness and integrity, and I cried. Not gentle tears, but the kind of soul-deep sobbing that comes when you realize someone you love doesn't see your value. But then something shifted inside me. I thought about all the times Vanessa had made little comments, how she'd suggested I might want to update my look, how she'd gifted me expensive sweaters for Christmas that weren't my style, then looked disappointed when I thanked her, but continued wearing my comfortable cardigans. How she'd started making excuses when I offered to host family dinners, preferring to meet at restaurants instead. I thought about how Michael had slowly stopped defending me, stopped pushing back against her criticisms, how he'd started suggesting I might enjoy activities that conveniently kept me away from their social events. And I thought about that $140,000. I pulled out my phone and opened my contacts. Philip Hendricks's number was still there from our last conversation about renewing the sponsorship for another year. My finger hovered over the call button. Was I being petty, Was I overreacting? Should I talk to Michael first, tell him what I'd heard, give him a chance to explain? Then I remembered Vanessa's voice. Tell her she can't come to the club anymore. She wanted me excluded from a place I was literally paying for them to enjoy. I made the call. Philip, this is Patricia Crawford. I need to discuss the anonymous sponsorship I've been providing for Michael and Vanessa Crawford's membership. Of course, Patricia. Is this about renewing for next year? I was going to reach out to you next month. No, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. I'm calling to cancel the sponsorship, effective immediately. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Patricia, I want to make sure I understand correctly. You're withdrawing your sponsorship of the Crawford membership? This will result in immediate termination of their club privileges. Is that what you want? Yes, Philip, that's exactly what I want. May I ask if there's been some issue? If there's a problem, perhaps we could... No problem at all, I interrupted, my voice calm now, resolved. I've simply decided to redirect my charitable giving elsewhere. People who might actually appreciate it. I see. Well, as per club policy, I'll need to notify them within 24 hours. The termination will be effective 72 hours from now, which gives them time to settle any outstanding charges. I should also mention that because they're not the primary members, you are as the sponsor, they won't have the option to assume the membership themselves. They would need to reapply and pay the full initiation fee again. I understand completely. Patricia, in my 15 years as membership director, I've never seen a sponsorship withdrawn. Are you absolutely certain about this? I thought about Vanessa's voice again. I thought about Michael's silence, his willingness to ask me to change rather than stand up for me. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. After I hung up, I sat in the quiet of my little house. No regret came, no second guessing. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in months, maybe years. I felt respected, by myself if no one else. The next day, I went about my normal routine. I worked in my garden, wearing my comfortable old jeans and one of David's faded flannel shirts that I still kept. I drove to the grocery store in my trusty Honda. I used my canvas tote bag to carry my purchases, and I felt no shame whatsoever. 48 hours after my call to Philip, my phone rang. Michael. Mom, hey, do you have time to talk? Of course, honey. What's going on? Can you come by the house? There's something Vanessa and I need to discuss with you. My stomach nodded, but I kept my voice light. Is everything all right? Yeah, it's just, we need to talk about some things. About boundaries and family dynamics. Can you come over this afternoon? So this was it. The conversation where they were going to tell me I wasn't welcome at the club, that I needed to dress better, that I was an embarrassment to their social circle. Actually, Michael, I'm busy this afternoon. How about we meet for coffee tomorrow? Just you and me? There's something I need to tell you anyway. Okay, sure. Pete's Coffee House at 10? Perfect. I'll see you then. That evening, I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Crawford, this is Philip Hendricks from Riverside Country Club. I wanted to give you a courtesy heads up. We've notified the Crawfords that their membership is being terminated. The notification was delivered in person this afternoon. Vanessa was hosting her book club at the time. Just thought you should know. Take care, and I'm sorry things worked out this way. I read the message 3 times, then saved it. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded. Michael called first. I let it go to voicemail. Then he called again and again. Text messages started flooding in. Mom, call me immediately. Something terrible has happened. We need to talk right now. Mom, please. This is an emergency. Then Vanessa started calling. I'd never received a direct call from her in 5 years of knowing her. She always went through Michael. Now she was calling repeatedly, each call going to voicemail. I turned my phone on silent and made myself a cup of chamomile tea. The next morning, I arrived at Pete's Coffee House 15 minutes early. I ordered my usual, small black coffee, nothing fancy, and chose a table by the window. At exactly 10 o'clock, Michael burst through the door. He looked terrible. His hair was disheveled, his eyes had dark circles underneath, and his expensive suit looked slept in. He spotted me and rushed over, not even stopping to order coffee. Mom, thank God. Where were you last night? Why didn't you answer your phone? I was home, dear. My phone was on silent. I go to bed early. You know that. Mom, something insane happened yesterday. The country club canceled our membership, just revoked it out of nowhere. Vanessa was hosting her book club, all her friends were there, and Philip Hendricks came in personally to tell us we had 72 hours to settle our account and return our membership cards, in front of everyone. I took a sip of my coffee, letting the silence stretch. That sounds awful. What reason did they give? That's the crazy part. They said our anonymous sponsor had withdrawn their support. Mom, someone was paying for our membership this whole time, and we never knew. And now they've just pulled the plug. Vanessa was humiliated. Her friends were all there watching. She's been crying since yesterday afternoon. I see. I set my cup down carefully. Michael, do you remember 3 years ago when you told me you couldn't afford the club membership, but Vanessa really wanted it? His face went pale. Mom, no, that wasn't... You didn't... I did. I've been your anonymous sponsor for 3 years. I paid the $50,000 initiation fee. I've paid $12,000 every year in dues. I've covered your minimum spending requirements, almost $140,000 total. Michael's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. People at nearby tables were starting to glance over at us. Why? He finally whispered. Why would you do that? Because you're my son, and I wanted you to be happy. I wanted to give you something nice without any strings attached. I never wanted you to know because I didn't want gratitude or obligation. I just wanted you to enjoy your life. Then why did you cancel it? Mom, do you understand what you've done? Vanessa's reputation is destroyed. Everyone at the club is talking about it. Her friends are asking what we did wrong, assuming we were kicked out for some scandal. Michael. My voice was sharp enough that he stopped mid-sentence. 4 days ago, I came by your house to drop off vegetables from my garden. You didn't know I was there. Recognition flickered across his face, followed by pure dread. I heard every word Vanessa said about me in that kitchen. How I dress like a homeless person, how I'm an embarrassment to you both, how my appearance undermines everything you're trying to build. Michael's face drained of all color. Mom, I can explain. Can you? Because I also heard you agree to ask me to stop coming to the club, to suggest I dress differently so your wife wouldn't be mortified by her husband's mother. I was trying to keep the peace. Vanessa was upset, and you just threw your mother under the bus to keep your wife happy. My voice was calm, but each word landed like a hammer. Michael, I stood in that hallway holding vegetables from my garden. Vegetables I grew for you because I know you love fresh tomatoes, and listened to my son's wife mock everything about me while you said nothing to defend me. I did defend you. I said that's just who you are. That's not a defense, honey. That's an excuse. There's a difference. I leaned forward. You know what Vanessa didn't understand? I don't dress the way I do because I'm poor or because I don't know any better. I dress this way because I choose to, because I value substance over appearance, because I was raised to believe that a person's worth has nothing to do with designer labels or expensive haircuts. Mom, I know that. I know you're not... Do you? Because you were ready to ask me to change who I am to avoid embarrassing your wife at a club I was paying for you to attend. The words hung in the air between us. Michael looked like he might be sick. When you were 8 years old and your father died, we didn't have much, but we had enough. I made sure you never felt poor, never felt less than your classmates. I worked extra shifts at the library. I mended your clothes instead of buying new ones so I could save for your college fund. I drove the same car for 15 years so you could go to summer camp. I sacrificed my appearance, my comfort, my social life to give you opportunities. I know, Mom. I'm grateful. I'm not finished. My voice was steel now. I never asked you to be grateful. I never threw any of it in your face. I never made you feel like you owed me. That's what parents do. They give without expecting repayment. But I did expect something, Michael. I expected basic respect. I expected that when someone mocked your mother, you'd stand up for her. I expected loyalty. Tears were running down his face now. "I'm so sorry, Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have defended you. I should have told Vanessa she was out of line. I don't know what I was thinking." "You were thinking about keeping your wife happy at any cost, even at the cost of your mother's dignity." If you're watching this and feeling the weight of what I'm saying, please take a moment and subscribe to this channel. Sometimes the stories we need to hear are the ones that challenge us to think about loyalty, family, and what truly matters. "What do I do now?" Michael's voice cracked. "How do I fix this?" "That's not my question to answer, Michael. That's between you and your conscience. But I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to restore the sponsorship. I'm not going to fund a lifestyle that comes with conditions on my worthiness. And I'm not going to pretend I didn't hear what I heard just to make everyone comfortable again. Vanessa doesn't know it was you. She still doesn't know. She thinks some random donor pulled out. Then you need to tell her. You need to tell her that the woman she mocked for dressing like a homeless person was the reason she got to have her precious book club meetings and tennis brunches. You need to tell her that the embarrassing mother-in-law she wanted banned from the club was writing six-figure checks so she could maintain her social status. She'll be devastated. Good. Maybe devastation leads to self-reflection. We sat in silence for a long moment. Other customers came and went around us, wrapped up in their own lives, unaware of the family drama unfolding in the corner. Finally, Michael spoke again, his voice barely above a whisper. "What about us? Are we okay?" I looked at my son, this man I'd raised, who'd grown up to be successful and accomplished, but who'd somehow forgotten the values I'd tried to teach him. "I don't know yet, honey. I love you. That will never change. But love and respect are different things. Right now, I'm struggling with the respect part. What can I do to earn it back?" "That's not for me to tell you, but I'll say this. It starts with figuring out who you want to be. The man who stands up for what's right even when it's uncomfortable, or the man who goes along to get along, even when that means sacrificing his principles. You can't be both." I stood up, gathering my canvas tote bag, the same one Vanessa had probably mocked a dozen times. "Mom, wait. Please don't leave like this." "Michael, I'm not abandoning you, but I need some space right now. I need to think about what kind of relationship we're going to have going forward, and you need to have some very honest conversations with your wife." "When can we talk again?" "When you're ready to have a real conversation, not one where you're trying to smooth things over or make excuses. A real conversation about respect and family and values." I paused at the door. "And Michael? Tell Vanessa the truth. All of it. She deserves to know, and you deserve to stop carrying secrets." I walked out of that coffee shop with my head high, wearing my discount store jeans and my comfortable old cardigan, carrying my canvas tote bag, and feeling absolutely no shame whatsoever. The next 2 weeks were quiet. No calls from Michael, no texts, nothing from Vanessa. I wondered if he'd told her. I wondered what she'd said if he had. I wondered if they were discussing me over dinner, strategizing how to handle the situation. I didn't reach out. The ball was in their court now. 3 weeks after the coffee shop conversation, I was working in my garden on a Saturday morning when I heard a car pull into my driveway. I looked up to see Michael's BMW, and my heart rate quickened. He got out alone, no Vanessa, and walked slowly toward where I was kneeling by my tomato plants. "Hi, Mom." "Hello, Michael." I stood up, brushing dirt from my knees. "This is a surprise. I told Vanessa about you being the sponsor, about everything." "And?" "She didn't believe me at first, thought I was making it up to make her feel guilty. So I showed her the thank you notes Philip Hendricks had sent you, the ones I found in your desk when I came by last week while you were at the grocery store. I hope you don't mind that I went through your papers." "I do mind, actually. But continue." He flinched at my tone, but went on. When she realized it was true, she got very quiet. Then she locked herself in our bedroom for 6 hours. When she finally came out, she packed a bag and went to stay with her parents. She's been there for 4 days now. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you, though? There was no accusation in his voice, just genuine curiosity. Yes, Michael, I am. I don't enjoy seeing you in pain, and I never wanted to destroy your marriage. I just wanted to not be treated like I was worthless. He nodded slowly. She wants to meet with you, to apologize. I told her I didn't think you'd agree to it, but she asked me to ask anyway. What do you want, Michael? Not what Vanessa wants. What do you want? He sat down on my porch steps, and after a moment, I joined him. I want my mom back. I want to stop feeling like I failed some fundamental test of character. I want to go back in time and defend you the way I should have. But since I can't do that, I want, I don't know, forgiveness maybe? A chance to prove I'm better than I was? You didn't fail a test, honey. You failed yourself. There's a difference. Tests end. This is about who you choose to be going forward. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about being the man who stands up for what's right. I talked to my boss this week and turned down a promotion that would have required me to fire 12 people before Christmas. Old me would have taken it without question. New me realized I don't want to be the kind of person who ruins people's holidays for a better title and more money. I looked at my son with fresh eyes. That took courage. I learned from the best. He turned to face me. Mom, I know I don't deserve it, but would you be willing to meet with Vanessa? Let her apologize. You don't have to forgive her or restore anything or change how you feel. Just hear her out? I thought about it for a long moment. Under one condition. Anything. We meet here, in my home. She comes to my space, sits at my table, sees how I live. No neutral territory, no coffee shops. Done. When? Tomorrow afternoon, 2:00. Tell her to come prepared to have an honest conversation. No performance, no manipulation, no tears designed to make me feel guilty. Honest words or nothing. Michael nodded, relief flooding his face. Thank you, Mom, really. After he left, I spent the rest of the day cleaning my already clean house. Not because I needed to impress Vanessa, but because I needed something to do with my hands while I thought. The next afternoon, at exactly 2:00, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Vanessa standing on my porch, and I barely recognized her. No makeup, hair in a simple ponytail. Wearing jeans and a plain sweater, she looked younger, vulnerable, and terrified. Thank you for seeing me, Patricia. I stepped aside to let her in. She looked around my small living room, the worn furniture I'd had for decades, the simple decorations, the bookshelves stuffed with paperbacks from used bookstores. Would you like some tea? Yes, please. I made tea in my kitchen, using my everyday mugs, not the nice china someone had given me as a gift years ago. When I brought the mugs to the living room, Vanessa was sitting on the edge of my couch, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. I don't know how to start, she said quietly. The truth is usually a good place. She nodded, took a breath. I was cruel, unforgivably cruel. I said terrible things about you, and I meant them when I said them, which somehow makes it worse. I can't claim I was just having a bad day or that I didn't mean it. I did. I said nothing, just sipped my tea and waited. I grew up in a world where appearances were everything, she continued. My mother judged everyone by their clothes, their cars, their club memberships. I internalized all of it. I became her. And when Michael's mother, you, didn't fit into that world, I was embarrassed. Not because of who you were, but because of what I thought you reflected about me. Go on? Learning that you were paying for our membership this whole time. Patricia, I can't even describe the shame. Michael showed me the documentation. $140,000. You gave us that gift anonymously, expecting nothing in return. And I repaid you by mocking you behind your back and trying to exclude you from a place you were literally funding. Tears were running down her face now, but they seemed genuine, not performative. The worst part is realizing how wrong I was about everything. You're not poor or cheap or clueless. You're intentional. You choose to live simply because you value other things more than status symbols. That takes incredible strength and self-assurance. Qualities I pretend to have, but don't actually possess. Why are you telling me this, Vanessa? Because you deserve to hear it. Because Michael deserves a wife who treats his mother with respect. Because I need to acknowledge that I've been living by the wrong values. And it took losing everything to see it. She looked directly at me. I'm not asking you to forgive me or to restore the membership or to pretend this didn't happen. What are you asking for then? The chance to learn from you, the chance to become someone better, and eventually, if I can prove myself, maybe the chance to have a real relationship with you, not one based on social obligations, but actual respect and connection. I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation or insincerity. All I saw was genuine remorse and something that looked like the beginning of self-awareness. Vanessa, I'm 72 years old. I've lived through loss and hardship and disappointment. I've learned that people can change, but only if they want to, and only if they're willing to do the hard work. Words are easy. Actions are what matter. I understand. I'm not going to restore the country club membership. Not now, not ever. If you and Michael want to rejoin, you'll need to do it yourselves, with your own money, making your own way. Do you understand why? She nodded. Because having things handed to us made us entitled, made me entitled. We need to earn what we have. Partly. But also because I'm choosing to spend my money differently now. I'm funding scholarships for single mothers going back to school, women like I was once. That feels more meaningful to me than country club dues. That's beautiful, she said softly. Really beautiful. We talked for another hour. It wasn't comfortable, and there were moments of painful honesty on both sides. But by the time she left, something had shifted. Not forgiveness, exactly. That would take time. But maybe the foundation for it. Michael called that evening. Thank you, Mom, for giving her a chance. I didn't do it for her, honey. I did it for you and for myself. Holding on to anger would have hurt me more than anyone else. Are we okay, you and me? We're getting there. Keep making good choices. Keep standing up for what's right. Keep being the man your father would have been proud of. I love you, Mom. I love you too, honey. Always have, always will. That was 8 months ago. Vanessa and I meet for tea every other week now, just the two of us, in my simple living room. She's learning to dress for comfort instead of impression. She volunteers at a women's shelter on Thursdays. She's slowly, genuinely becoming someone different, someone better. Michael stands up to her now when she slips into old patterns. He stands up for me. He's learning that peace at any price isn't peace at all. They never did rejoin the country club. They couldn't afford it on their own, and that's exactly as it should be. Instead, they host game nights at their house and have dinner parties with real friends, the kind who don't care about status symbols. As for me, I still wear my comfortable clothes and drive my old Honda and carry my canvas tote bag. But now, when I walk into their home for Sunday dinner, I'm greeted with genuine warmth and respect. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give someone is letting them face the consequences of their actions. And sometimes, standing up for yourself is the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and for everyone around you.